I'm not showing you my wife or any grandchildren. I don't want anything to do with you. Just leave the money and be done."
His words felt like a cold blade piercing through my chest. I couldn't comprehend what he was saying, and I stared at his face. His gaze had none of the warmth it once held, only cold detachment. For 19 years after being betrayed by my husband, I raised my son alone. I thought he understood the tears I shed and the struggles I faced. But that hope was shattered in an instant. "Yes, because it's a contract. You'll be the one to pay." My voice trembled as I answered. His eyes widened in surprise. He didn't seem to understand what I was saying. "A contract? What are you talking about?" His voice now betrayed his confusion and unease. Something long dormant in my heart stirred awake. When my husband left me, I was left to face life alone. I made a decision that day, a plan for my son to protect him from his father's influence. And now the moment to execute that plan had finally come. My name is Susan. I have one son, Sam. He is my ex-husband Ken's biological son. When Sam was 1, I officially adopted him. It was a decision made with great determination. Remarrying someone with a child isn't simple. Without formal adoption, legally, we wouldn't be parent and child. So I decided to adopt Sam to make our bond official.
"Are you sure about this?"
Ken asked, concerned. "I'm sure. I'm ready to be Sam's mother and support him." Ken looked surprised, but then smiled softly.
"Thank you. I really appreciate it."
We started our new life as a family. We weren't wealthy, but every day was peaceful and happy. I still remember the first time Sam called me Mom. It felt as if time had stopped in that moment. Sam was usually quiet and sensitive, so I thought it would take much longer for him to accept me. One evening, while I was preparing dinner, Sam came over and tugged at my apron. "What's wrong, Sam?" He opened his mouth as if to say something, but hesitated. I waited patiently, wondering what he wanted to say. Finally, the word Mom slipped from his lips. At first, I couldn't believe it. I thought I misheard. But when I looked into his eyes, I knew he meant it. "What did you just say, Sam?" Tears welled up in my eyes.
"Mom."
He said it shyly. My heart overflowed with emotion and I hugged him tightly. The warmth from his small body erased all the struggles and fears I had carried. But that happiness didn't last. When Sam turned 1, Ken's attitude began to change. He started coming home late, and when he was home, he seemed restless. One evening, as we sat around the dinner table, I decided to confront him. "Ken, you've been coming home late a lot lately. Is something wrong?" I tried to keep my voice calm, not wanting to provoke him. Ken glanced at me briefly, but quickly looked away.
"Work's been busy. Don't worry about it."
"But you never used to be this late. If there's something you're not telling me, I want to know."
"I told you nothing's going on."
His voice grew louder, and my gut told me something was wrong. "Are you sure? Every night you come home late and you're always on your phone. We need to talk about this."
"Just drop it. I said nothing's going on."
"It doesn't feel that way to me. Is there someone else? Are you seeing someone?" My voice shook, but I had to ask. Ken glared at me sharply.
"You're such a pain. Yeah, there's someone else."
His words left me stunned. "What do you mean?"
"I'm in love with someone else. I can't resist."
"What about Sam? What about our family?"
"Sam will be fine with you. I want to be with her."
"Are you serious?" Tears blurred my vision.
"I'm serious. I've made up my mind."
He handed me a divorce agreement he had already filled out. I stared at the paper, fleeing numb. The next day, I filed for divorce. From then on, my life revolved around Sam. I was determined to protect him from the pain Ken had caused us. Despite not being wealthy, I didn't want Sam to suffer financially. I started studying real estate at night, hoping to build something for him. Eventually, I managed a small property. It wasn't much, but it helped create some financial stability. "Mom, you're amazing!" Those words were all I needed to keep going. I wanted to be the kind of mother Sam could be proud of one day. But when Sam became a teenager, he started to change. He became rebellious, and his language grew harsher. He started getting into trouble at school. I was called into the school multiple times. "What's going on, Sam? Why are you acting like this?" He would only respond with cold eyes and short answers like,
"Whatever. Leave me alone."
One day after another incident at school, I picked him up and tried to talk to him. He stayed silent, staring straight ahead. When we got home, I decided I couldn't ignore it anymore. Sam, talk to me. What's going on? We're family and we need to figure this out together.
Family? We're not even related by blood. What do you know about family?
His words cut through me like a knife. Sam, I know we're not blood related, but you're my son. I've raised you, and you mean everything to me.
Shut up, hypocrite. Everything you say is a lie.
He stormed off to his room, slamming the door behind him. After that, he wouldn't come out for days. I started questioning myself. Had Ken's departure affected Sam more than I realized? Or was it my fault? Had I failed to give him enough love? But no matter how much I questioned myself, I couldn't find the answer. Sam's behavior grew worse, and he started staying out late. I lost count of how many times I had to pick him up from the police station. Every time I would tell myself that things would get better, but I was terrified inside. It felt like I was losing him. But no matter how hard it got, I couldn't give up on him. He was my son, and I had to believe he would come back to me one day. By the time Sam graduated from high school, his grades were barely passing. He had no interest in college or work. He spent his days playing video games and hanging out with friends. Have you thought about what you're going to do after graduation?
I'll go to college.
Really? Where? What are you going to study?
I don't know. I just don't want to work.
His nonchalant attitude infuriated me. You can't just go to college to avoid working. You need a plan.
Whatever. You'll pay for it anyway. Isn't that your job?
I couldn't believe what I was hearing. No, I'm not paying for everything. You need to take responsibility for your own life. Sam scoffed, clearly not taking me seriously.
Fine. I'll get a scholarship or something.
It was no use. He wasn't listening. A few weeks later, he packed his things and told me he was moving out. So you're really leaving?
Yeah, I'm done with this place. It's better for both of us.
Without looking back, he left, slamming the door behind him. I stood there in the silence, wondering where I went wrong. The years passed, and I barely heard from him. Then one day, Sam called me out of the blue. Sam, what's going on? You never call. I assumed he needed money.
I got married.
What? When did that happen? What about college? Who is she?
I dropped out. Her name's Emily. She's pregnant. But don't worry, you won't be involved.
Not involved? I'm still your mother.
You were. Not anymore. I don't need you. Just leave the money and we're done.
His words stunned me. If you want to cut ties, we'll file the paperwork. Sam seemed a bit surprised but quickly regained his composure.
Paperwork? What paperwork?
I'll file the legal papers to end our relationship. You'll no longer be my son, legally or otherwise. Sam paused, confused.
Wait, what does that mean?
It means that all of your father's debt will now be yours to pay off. You're the one responsible.
What? How is that my responsibility?
Your father made you his co-signer when you turned 18. You've been responsible for his debt ever since. I had been paying for it, but now that we were no longer family, I wouldn't anymore.
Wait, you can't do this. I didn't know. Please help me.
His voice shook with desperation. This is your life now, Sam. You made these choices. Sam fell silent, unable to process what was happening. I felt a mix of sorrow and relief as I hung up the phone. I was finally free. That night, I sat alone in my quiet home, shedding tears for the son I had lost. The next few months were filled with legal battles as Sam tried to fight the emancipation. He even tried to claim a right to my estate, but the courts dismissed his case. His reckless actions had caught up with him, and there was no escape. In court, he shouted at me.
You abandoned me. I deserve something for everything I've been through.
The judge coldly rejected his claims, reminding him of the consequences of his decisions. Sam's pleas fell on deaf ears as he stood in the courtroom defeated. He had lost everything. I watched him, filled with a strange mix of pity and resignation. Sam's life has spiraled out of control. And now, he was alone. After losing the court case, Sam's only support was his wife, Emily. But even that didn't last long. When Emily found out about the debt Sam had inherited from his father, she was furious. She felt betrayed, as Sam had hidden this from her. I was there when Sam had to confess the truth to her.
Why didn't you tell me about this huge debt?
Her voice was filled with disbelief and anger, signaling the breakdown of their trust.
I didn't know about it either. It's not my fault.
Do you really think that excuse works? How do you plan to pay it off? What about our future?
Sam desperately tried to calm her down.
Wait, we can figure this out together. We're married.
Married? I can't stay in this mess. Our relationship is over.
What do you mean? Are you leaving me?
Yes, I want a divorce. I want nothing to do with this mess.
Sam was in disbelief.
Please, don't go. Don't leave me alone.
What do you expect me to do? I can't live like this.
She gave him one last cold look before turning to me.
Thank you for everything.
A few days later, Emily filed for divorce. But the complications didn't end there. As if things couldn't get worse, it came to light that Emily had been having an affair with another man. She had been seeing someone else while she was still married to Sam. When she found out she was pregnant with Sam's child, she quickly divorced her former husband, Chris, and married Sam. Sam had no idea about the affair until this point.
Who is this guy? I'm her husband. Husband? What do you mean, husband?
Emily's ex-husband, filled with rage, demanded answers.
I was married to him until recently.
The ex-husband was furious.
So you left me for him? You betrayed me?
His anger exploded, and he started throwing accusations at both Emily and Sam. Unable to handle the situation, Sam felt trapped. But Emily wasn't done yet. She planned to use the alimony from Sam to pay off the damages her ex-husband was now suing for. This left Sam with both alimony and massive debts to pay. He was completely cornered, overwhelmed by the weight of his financial burdens.
This isn't fair. How did it all go so wrong?
Sam's once confident demeanor crumbled as he realized just how alone he was. His father's debt, Emily's betrayal, alimony, child support, and his student loans, all of it weighed down on him.
Somebody please, help me. What do I do?
But there was no one left to turn to. He had alienated everyone with his arrogance. Sam's voice echoed into the void, but no one answered. His strength and confidence were gone, leaving behind only despair. Watching him spiral, I couldn't help but think about the choices he had made. He had chosen this path, and now he had to face the consequences. Sam, you have to take responsibility for the life you've chosen. All I could do was pray for him. His journey would be long and lonely. After losing everything, Sam once again came to me begging for help. This time, his face was devoid of the arrogance it once held.
Mom, please, help me. I'm begging you.
His voice trembled with desperation. I listened to his plea, but I knew I had to stay firm. Sam, we've already cut ties. You're the one who made these decisions. Now you have to live with them. Sam's face twisted in pain.
I know, but please, just one more time. I swear I'll never ask again.
It's always the same, Sam. You only come to me when you need something. I've given you so much, and now you finally understand, but it's too late. Sam lowered his head in silence, the weight of my words sinking in.
I know. I have no one left to turn to.
You have to take responsibility for your own life now. I can't help you anymore. Sam slowly walked out of the room, his shoulders slumped under the burden he carried. His once confident posture was gone, replaced by the heavy load of his mistakes. Over time, Sam became more isolated, drowning in debts, alimony, and child support. He had no one left to rely on, and the weight of his actions finally began to sink in. By the time he realized his mistakes, it was too late to fix anything. His cruel words and actions toward me had all come back to haunt him. Meanwhile, I continued to succeed in my real estate investments. My life grew more prosperous and stable, filled with respect from those around me. The contrast between my life and what Sam had lost couldn't have been more striking. Sam, this is the result of the path you chose. There's nothing I can do for you now. As I moved forward, I knew I couldn't look back.
Mom, I was wrong.
Even if he whispered those words, they wouldn't reach me now. My life was rich and fulfilling, even without Sam in it. I had completely severed our relationship, and I had no need to look back. When he came to me for help, I calmly refused, and I knew deep in my heart that it was the right decision. Sam had lost everything, but I had moved on and was thriving. That was the final outcome of my journey, and I felt no regret.